The future of Windows is to let the computer see, listen, and even learn. There's nobody getting rich writing software that I know of. If you believe that every life has equal value, it's revolting to learn that some lives are seen as worth saving and others are not. We said to ourselves, this can't be true. But if it is true, it deserves to be the priority of our giving. If you're using first-class land for biofuels, then you're competing with the growing of food. And so you're actually spiking food prices by moving energy production into agriculture. Even though I only have a high school degree, I'm a professional student. If your culture doesn't like geeks, you are in real trouble. I have seen firsthand that agricultural science has enormous potential to increase the yields of small farmers and lift them out of hunger and poverty. The inventory, the value of my company, walks out the door every evening. People everywhere love Windows. The pace of progress in biology creates a foundation that naturally gets picked up by the biotech and pharmaceutical industry to solve rich world diseases. This is attractive science. It's science that people want to work on. 2 out of every 5 people on Earth today owe their lives to the higher crop outputs that fertilizer has made possible. Innovation is a good thing. The human condition, put aside bioterrorism and a few footnotes, is improving because of innovation. Drones overall will be more impactful than I think people recognize, in positive ways to help society. If you take from the most wealthy and give to the least wealthy, it's good. It starts to balance out. Depending on where you live, cooking, sex, and pooping are either 3 of life's pleasures or what kills you. Headlines, in a way, are what mislead you because bad news is a headline, and gradual improvement is not. We are not even close to finishing the basic dream of what the PC can be. We're at the point now where the challenge isn't how to communicate effectively with email, it's ensuring that you spend your time on the email that matters most. Students deserve great teachers. And teachers deserve the support they need to become great. When I was in college, for the games of that era, I was as hardcore as anyone was. I wouldn't say I outgrew it, but you always have to have a finite number of addictions. Philanthropy is fun and fulfilling. I don't generally read a lot of fiction. Vision without execution is daydreaming. When you want to do your homework, fill out your tax return, or see all the choices for a trip you want to take, you need a full-size screen. 3D is a way of organizing things, particularly as we're getting much more media information on the computer, a lot more choices, a lot more navigation than we've ever had before. A breakthrough in machine learning would be worth 10 Microsofts. To be a good professional engineer, always start to study late for exams because it teaches you how to manage time and tackle emergencies. I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. But many others were also in the same place. The difference was that I took action. Leaders are those who empower others. Banking is necessary, banks are not. I am not topper in my university, but all toppers are working in my Microsoft company. Innovation is moving at a scarily fast pace. Investing in tomorrow's technology today is more critical than ever. Software is the magic thing whose importance only goes up over time. Customers want high quality at low prices, and they want it now. We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction. Automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. I believe innovation is the most powerful force for change in the world. If I only had $2 left, I would spend $1 on PR. The most meaningful way to differentiate your company from your competition is to do an outstanding job with information. Legacy is a stupid thing. I don't want a legacy. Bringing together the right information with the right people will dramatically improve a company's ability to develop and act on strategic business opportunities. Common Core is a big win for education. While we're all very dependent on technology, it doesn't always work. My grade point average went from a 2.2 to a 4.0 over the summer. I wanted to get straight A's. I decided to get straight A's. I didn't want people to think I was dumb. And when you get straight A's once, it's easier. The internet is just a passing fad. And knowledge management is a means, not an end. I hope someday what people can do with their lives depends on their talents and how hard they are willing to work, rather than on where they happen to be born. The ability of a successful company to add functionality to its product has long been upheld. There is a difference between what technology enables and what historical business practices enable. The internet is the easiest thing to get into. To be an internet retailer, you just get that URL. Like any well-designed software product, Windows is designed, developed, and tested as an integrated whole. Given how few young people actually read the newspaper, it's a good thing they'll be reading a newspaper on a screen. In programming, when you're making a change, you have to know all the affected places, and you have to be able to model in your head what the performance impact will be. Measles will always show you if someone isn't doing a good job on vaccinations. Kids will start dying of measles. You need to understand things in order to invent beyond them. We weren't trying to just go public and get rich. There was no near-term thing. It always was this many decades thing where there were no shortcuts and we'd sort of put one foot in front of the other. Software was the key element that would determine how usable and how broadly applicable the machine was. By helping us to be more productive, technology lets us to spend less time focusing on survival and more on solving other challenges. If you count email, I'm on the internet all day, every day. Don't let complexity stop you. Be activists. Take on the big inequities. It will be one of the great experiences of your lives. By improving health, empowering women, population growth comes down. In the decade ahead, I can predict that we will provide over twice the productivity improvement that we provided in the 90s. What's amazing is, if young people understood how doing well in school makes the rest of their life so much interesting, they would be more motivated. It's so far away in time that they can't appreciate what it means for their whole life. The great thing about a computer notebook is that no matter how much you stuff into it, it doesn't get bigger or heavier. The internet will help achieve friction-free capitalism by putting buyer and seller in direct contact and providing more information to both about each other. The vision is that people should have the ultimate in convenience. Being able to get the things they care about on the appropriate device. Expectations are a form of first-class truth. If people believe it, it's true. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health. Living on $6 a day means you have a refrigerator, a TV, a cell phone. Your children can go to school. That's not possible on $1 a day. The belief that the world is getting worse, that we can't solve extreme poverty and disease, isn't just mistaken. It is harmful. I've always been interested in science. One of my favorite books is James Watson's Molecular Biology of the Gene. If people had understood how patents would be granted when most of today's ideas were invented, and had taken out patents, the industry would be at a complete standstill today. Test scores aren't perfect, but having a test score for math or reading or other things that we can objectively measure is a meaningful component that makes a lot of sense. The intersection of law, politics, and technology is going to force a lot of good thinking. In this business, by the time you realize you're in trouble, it's too late to save yourself. Unless you're running scared all the time, you're gone. Effective philanthropy requires a lot of time and creativity, the same kind of focus and skills that building a business requires. The microprocessor is a miracle. Bridge is one of the last games in which the computer is not better. We will never make a 32-bit operating system. Analytical software enables you to shift human resources from rote data collection to value-added customer service and support where the human touch makes a profound difference. Our teachers deserve better feedback. Training the workforce of tomorrow with today's high schools is like trying to teach kids about today's computers on a 50-year-old mainframe. Giving money effectively is almost as hard as earning it in the first place. The best teacher is very interactive. For Africa to move forward, you've really got to get rid of malaria. I considered law and math. My dad was a lawyer. I think though I would have ended up in physics if I didn't end up in computer science. The CEO's role in raising a company's corporate IQ is to establish an atmosphere that promotes knowledge sharing and collaboration. The only big companies that succeed will be those that obsolete their own products before somebody else does. When you revolutionize education, you're taking the very mechanism of how people be smarter and do new things, and you're priming the pump for so many incredible things. Sometimes, I think my most important job as a CEO is to listen for bad news. If you don't act on it, your people will eventually stop bringing bad news to your attention, and that is the beginning of the end. I like my job because it involves learning. I like being around smart people who are trying to figure out new things. I like the fact that if people really try, they can figure out how to invent things that actually have an impact. In my parents, I saw a model where they were really always communicating, doing things together. They were really kind of a team. I wanted some of that magic myself. You see, antiquated ideas of kindness and generosity are simply bugs that must be programmed out of our world. And these cold, unfeeling machines show us the way. If you go back to 1800, everybody was poor. I mean everybody. The Industrial Revolution kicked in, and a lot of countries benefited, but by no means everyone. The competition to hire the best will increase in the years ahead. Companies that give extra flexibility to their employees will have the edge in this area. I really had a lot of dreams when I was a kid, and I think a great deal of that grew out of the fact that I had a chance to read a lot. You will not make $60,000 a year right out of high school. You won't be a vice president with a car phone until you earn both. I'm a great believer that any tool that enhances communication has profound effects in terms of how people can learn from each other, and how they can achieve the kind of freedoms that they're interested in. It's the knowledge derived from information that gives you a competitive edge. I think any statement about stock prices is always suspect unless it's made by Warren Buffett. Like a human being, a company has to have an internal communication mechanism, a nervous system, to coordinate its actions. A first-generation fortune is the most likely to be given away, but once a fortune is inherited, it's less likely that a very high percentage will go back to society. I definitely think leaving kids massive amounts of money is not a favor to them. The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. I'm not somebody who goes to church on a regular basis. The specific elements of Christianity are not something I'm a huge believer in. Climate change is a terrible problem, and it absolutely needs to be solved. It deserves to be a huge priority. If you are low income in the United States, you have a higher chance of going to jail than getting a 4-year degree. There is a certain responsibility that accrued to me when I got to this unexpected position. Vaccination is one of the easiest things on the way to development. It's much easier than roads and a great education system. It's very basic. It's one of the first things you want to get right. The first 5 years have so much to do with how the next 80 turn out. I have a particular relationship with Vinod Khosla because he's got a lot of very interesting science-based energy startups. I don't think you're as capable of handling lack of sleep or whatever challenges you throw at your body as you get older. However, I never missed a day of work. The power of capitalism to mediate the gap between rich and poor is pretty incredible. Indeed, I think, year by year, the gap gets less. The Ebola epidemic can serve as an early warning wake-up call to get ready. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic. There are more people dying of malaria than any specific cancer. Stolen's a strong word. It's copyrighted content that the owner wasn't paid for. Just in terms of allocation of time resources, religion is not very efficient. There's a lot more I could be doing on a Sunday morning. In order for the United States to do the right things for the long term, it appears to be helpful for us to have the prospect of humiliation. Sputnik helped us fund good science, really good science. The semiconductor came out of it. If I will start all over again, I would choose network marketing. I have been struck again and again by how important measurement is to improving the human condition. According to Ethiopian custom, parents wait to name a baby because children often die in the first weeks of life. As for drugs, Well, Gates was certainly not unusual there. Marijuana was the pharmaceutical of choice. Nobody spends any money on smallpox unless they worry about a bioterrorist recreating it. The computer was born to solve problems that did not exist before. Only a few businesses will succeed by having the lowest price, so most will need a strategy that includes customer services. Investing for the poor requires participation from the entire community. The Gates Foundation has learned that 2 questions can predict how much kids learn. Does your teacher use class time well? And, when you're confused, does your teacher help you get straightened out? Anything you do, you better enjoy it for its value. Because people are going to second-guess everything you do. You can be a business thinker. In some ways, if you make mistakes with your own money, you don't feel as bad about it as if it was someone else's. The vision is really about empowering workers, giving them all the information about what's going on so they can do a lot more than they've done in the past. This is a very exciting time in the world of information. It's not just that the personal computer has come along as a great tool. The whole pace of business is moving faster. Globalization is forcing companies to do things in new ways. In the long run, your human capital is your main base of competition. Your leading indicator of where you're going to be 20 years from now is how well you're doing in your education system. The obvious mathematical breakthrough would be development of an easy way to factor large prime numbers. For one thing, there's an essential human factor in every business endeavor. It doesn't matter if you have a perfect product, production plan, and marketing pitch, you'll still need the right people to lead and implement those plans. Rules broken today become norms tomorrow. The information highway will transform our culture as dramatically as Gutenberg's press did the Middle Ages. Innovation is often the hidden thing, because we can't put numbers to it. And yet it's the thing that defines the way we live, the things we'd like to have for everyone, whether it's health or education. Innovations that are guided by smallholder farmers, adapted to local circumstances, and sustainable for the economy and environment will be necessary to ensure food security in the future. I see little commercial potential for the internet for at least 10 years. We should all grow our own food and do our own waste processing. We really should. If you get health, then you have opportunity for literacy. Health first, then literacy. Once you have literacy, then you have a chance to bring in the new tools of communication. Let people reach out and have access to the latest advances. If you rely too much on the people in other countries and other companies, in a sense that's your brain and you are outsourcing your brain. The most important speed issue is often not technical but cultural. It's convincing everyone that the company's survival depends on everyone moving as fast as possible. Okay, I have a nickname. My family calls me Trey because I'm William III. My dad has the same name, which is always confusing because my dad is well known, and I'm also known. Capitalism has worked very well. Anyone who wants to move to North Korea is welcome. Unfortunately, the highly curious student is a small percentage of the kids. I think it's fair to say that personal computers have become the most empowering tool we've ever created. They're tools of communication, they're tools of creativity, and they can be shaped by their user. The willingness to hear hard truth is vital not only for CEOs of big corporations, but also for anyone who loves the truth. Sometimes the truth sounds like bad news, but it is just what we need. Don't tax my income, tax my consumption. The fight against AIDS in China is already well underway. The Chinese government and other funders are providing major support, and they'll continue to bear primary responsibility for delivering prevention and treatment. Well, private money can take risks in a way that government money often isn't willing to. The world won't care about your self-esteem. The world will expect you to accomplish something before you feel good about yourself. The advance of technology is based on making it fit in so that you don't really even notice it, so it's part of everyday life. You can make money and you can make excuses, but you can never make money out of excuses. If you want to build a great company, get the hell out of Silicon Valley. It is my belief that industry and government around the world should work even more closely to protect the privacy and security of internet users, and promote the exchange of ideas, while respecting legitimate government considerations. I believe that with great wealth comes great responsibility, a responsibility to give back to society and a responsibility to see that those resources are put to work in the best possible way to help those most in need. My success, part of it certainly, is that I have focused in on a few things. Every day we're saying, how can we keep this customer happy? How can we get ahead in innovation by doing this? Because if we don't, somebody else will. I don't have a magic formula for prioritizing the world's problems. Computers and games don't waste time, people do. Humanity's greatest advances are not in its discoveries, but in how those discoveries are applied to reduce inequity. Discrimination has a lot of layers that make it tough for minorities to get a leg up. Who in their right mind would ever need more than 640K of RAM? A bad strategy will fail no matter how good your information is, and lame execution will stymie a good strategy. If you do enough things poorly, you will go out of business. Bitcoin is a technological tour de force. bridge is the king of all card games. If you give people tools, and they use their natural abilities and their curiosity, they will develop things in ways that will surprise you very much beyond what you might have expected. Embrace bad news to learn where you need the most improvement. Learning to write programs stretches your mind and helps you think better. Creates a way of thinking about things that I think is helpful in all domains. I believe that every life is valuable, that we can make things better, that innovation is the key to a bright future, that we're just getting started. You have a meeting to make a decision, not to decide on the question. An important re-engineering principle is that companies should focus on their core competence and outsource everything else. In a budget, how important is art versus music versus athletics versus computer programming? At the end of the day, some of those trade-offs will be made politically. It's easier for our software to compete with Linux when there's piracy than when there's not. Of all the statistics in health, death is the easiest, because you can go out and ask people, "Hey, have you had any children who died? Did your siblings have any children who died?" People don't forget that. Leaders need to provide strategy and direction and to give employees tools that enable them to gather information and insight from around the world. Leaders shouldn't try to make every decision. Money has no utility to me beyond a certain point. www. Nice toy, but what a waste of time. If you're asking whether I intentionally mess up my hair, no, I don't. And certain things, like my freckles, they're just there. I don't do anything consciously. I suppose I could get contact lenses. I suppose I could comb my hair more often. If I had $1 for every time someone made fun of me in high school, oh wait, I do. The tablet is not mainstream. Reading off the screen is not mainstream. When I walk into a grocery store and look at all the products you can choose, I say, my God. No king ever had anything like I have in my grocery store today. When Paul Allen and I started Microsoft over 30 years ago, we had big dreams about software. We had dreams about the impact it could have. If geek means you're willing to study things, and if you think science and engineering matter, I plead guilty. If your culture doesn't like geeks, you are in real trouble. Does the universe exist only for me? It's possible. If so, it's sure going well for me, I must admit. In terms of fast food and deep understanding of the culture of fast food, I'm your man. My wife thinks she's better than me at puzzles. I haven't given in on that one yet. I keep bumping into that silly quotation attributed to me that says 640K of memory is enough. There's never a citation, The quotation just floats like a rumor, repeated again and again. The information society should serve all of its citizens, not only the technically sophisticated and economically privileged. If the 1980s were about quality and the 1990s were about re-engineering, then the 2000s will be about velocity. Whether it's Google or Apple or free software, we've got some fantastic competitors, and it keeps us on our toes. I realized about 10 years ago that my wealth has to go back to society. A fortune, the size of which is hard to imagine, is best not passed on to one's children. It's not constructive for them. We win because we hire the smartest people. We improve our products based on feedback until they're the best. We have retreats each year where we think about where the world is heading. We were young, but we had good advice and good ideas and lots of enthusiasm. Technology is unlocking the innate compassion we have for our fellow human beings. If you're a person struggling to eat and stay healthy, you might have heard about Michael Jordan or Muhammad Ali, but you'll never have heard of Bill Gates. I can understand wanting to have millions of dollars. There's a certain freedom, meaningful freedom, that comes with that. This antitrust thing will blow over. Teaching's hard. You need different skills, positive reinforcement, keeping students from getting bored, commanding their attention in a certain way. When a country has the skill and self-confidence to take action against its biggest problems, it makes outsiders eager to be a part of it. Everyone knows about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now help me spread the word about Giving Tuesday. The more you learn, the more you have a framework that the knowledge fits into. I find golf very relaxing. It's a way to get away from work and get outside. It's a lot of fun. And once you get going, it's almost kind of addictive. The malaria parasite has been killing children and sapping the strength of whole populations for tens of thousands of years. It is impossible to calculate the harm malaria has done to the world. Inspiration starts somewhere. If Africa seeks prosperity, it must provide for the health and nutrition of all, including the poorest. Maintaining a consistent platform also helps improve product support, a significant problem in the software industry. The moral systems of religion, I think, are super important. People who say they don't see the acceleration of innovation is a willful blindness. We are innovation at a wonderful speed for the basic things we think everyone should get. Digital reading will completely take over. It's lightweight and it's fantastic for sharing. Over time it will take over. In low-income countries, the main problems you have is infectious diseases. There are no significant bugs in our released software that any significant number of users want fixed. I did not even finish my studies. Vaccination is pretty special because you can do a vaccination campaign anywhere in the world. All you are doing is gathering women from the villages, getting them the vaccines and asking them to go around and find the children. Microsoft products are generally bug-free. If GM had kept up with technology like the computer industry has, we would all be driving $25 cars that got 1,000 mpg. Understanding science and pushing the boundaries of science is what makes me immensely satisfied. In terms of doing things, I take a fairly scientific approach to why things happen and how they happen. I don't know if there's a God or not, but I think religious principles are quite valid. I know there's a farmer out there somewhere who never wants a PC, and that's fine with me. My parents are very successful, and I went to the nicest private school in the Seattle area. I was lucky, but I never had any trust funds of any kind, though my dad did pay my tuition at Harvard, which was quite expensive. We'll have infinite bandwidth in a decade's time. The need to communicate effectively with your customers will come up again and again. Haiti should remind us all that there is an immediate need to invest in and promote long-term development projects that are sustainable, scalable, and proven to work. If you withdraw the incredible focus on polio, it will spread back, and in poor countries you'll get something like 100,000 cases a year. So by being very intense and getting the cases down to zero, what you do is you avoid all the future cases. Middle-income countries are the biggest users of GMOs. Places like Brazil. We certainly see opportunities in Vietnam for talented people to have jobs in the IT sector, including the improvement of the efficiency of the economy and the government. A lot of people assume that creating software is purely a solitary activity where you sit in an office with the door closed all day and write lots of code. I meet people overseas that know 5 languages, that the only language I'm comfortable in is English. People are going to buy cheap fertilizer so they can grow enough crops to feed themselves, which will be increasingly difficult with climate change. Kids are taking PCs and the internet to new heights. They're the ones that are designing the cutting-edge websites. Employers have decided that having the breadth of knowledge that's associated with a 4-year degree is often something they want to see in the people they give that job to. We believe unbelievable progress can be made in both inventing new vaccines and making sure they get out to all the children who need them. It's an experiment, and it's probably good to have a couple states try it out to see before you make that national policy. If you're too focused on your current business, it's hard to change and concentrate on innovating. If success corrupts, I'm probably pretty corrupted by now. Finding information is either a software question or a question of how much information is online. My son likes to go see mines and electric plants, or the Large Hadron Collider, and we've had a chance to see a lot of interesting stuff. I was lucky to be involved and get to contribute to something that was important, which is empowering people with software. Nigeria has moved into low-middle income, but their north is very poor, and the healthcare systems there have broken down. It's hard to improve public education, that's clear. The Global Fund is a central player in the progress being achieved on HIV, TB, and malaria. It channels resources to help countries fight these diseases. I believe in its impact because I have seen it firsthand. India has over 20% of the kids born in the world, and they move around a lot. Newspaper readership is still growing in India. No more misquoted forms, lost invoices, redundant entries, missing checks, or delays caused by incomplete paperwork. Countries which receive aid do graduate. Within a generation, Korea went from being a big recipient to being a big aid donor. China used to get quite a bit of aid, now it's aid neutral. You don't have to own a TV network to go out and do a cool show. We need a malaria epidemic in the blogging community. Either that or we need people who have seen the malaria epidemic to start blogging. Corruption is one of the most common reasons I hear in views that criticize aid. DNA is like a computer program but far, far more advanced than any software ever created. Setting clear goals and finding measures that will mark progress toward them can improve the human condition. Everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a basketball player, a tennis player, a gymnast, or a bridge player. Intellectual property has the shelf life of a banana. We need to start thinking about the future of food if we are going to feed 9 billion people in a way that does not destroy our environment. Software is more important than hardware. Life is a lot more fun if you treat its challenges in creative ways. I never took a day off in my 20s. Not one. And I'm still fanatical, but now I'm a little less fanatical. The worst pandemic in modern history was the Spanish flu of 1918, which killed tens of millions of people. Today, with how interconnected the world is, it would spread faster. I believe in innovation and that the way you get innovation is you fund research and you learn the basic facts. It's really kind of cool to have solar panels on your roof. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction. Learning from mistakes and constantly improving products is a key in all successful companies. The future of advertising is the internet. I believe that if you show people the problems and you show them the solutions, they will be moved to act. Africa is on the rise. Since when has the world of computer software design been about what people want? This is a simple question of evolution. The day is quickly coming when every knee will bow down to a silicon fist, and you will all beg your binary gods for mercy. Flipping burgers is not beneath your dignity. Your grandparents had a different word for burger flipping. They called it opportunity. Power comes not from knowledge kept, but from knowledge shared. Software is a great combination between artistry and engineering. When you finally get done and get to appreciate what you have done, it is like a part of yourself that you've put together. I think a lot of the people here feel that way. Teams should be able to act with the same unity of purpose and focus as a well-motivated individual. Whether I'm at the office, at home, or on the road, I always have a stack of books I'm looking forward to reading. Your school may have done away with winners and losers, but life has not. I spend a lot of time reading. Patience is a key element of success. Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself. If you are born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake. Life is not fair. Get used to it. To win big, you sometimes have to take big risks. Measuring programming progress by lines of code is like measuring aircraft building progress by weight. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. I choose a lazy person to do a hard job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. If you can't make it good, at least make it look good. Only through focus can you do world-class things, no matter how capable you are. I never took a day off in my 20s. Not one. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. Be nice to nerds. Chances are you'll end up working for one. It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure. As we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. If your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. I work hard because I love my work. People cannot become truly knowledgeable without being excellent readers. If you think your teacher is tough, wait till you get a boss. We're changing the world with technology. Software is a great combination between artistry and engineering. Success today requires the agility and drive to constantly rethink, reinvigorate, react, and reinvent. I am not in competition with anyone but myself. My goal is to improve myself continuously. There are websites that any government wants to block. The truth about the internet is that it's extremely hard to block anything, extremely hard. You'll never get perfect blocking. Netscape was able to get the government working on its behalf. The poor can't wait. Philanthropists needed to carry on being generous. Even with cameras being very cheap, one thing that researchers noticed was that you look really bad in a video conference image because the lighting is bad and you get shadows and things. The most interesting biofuel efforts avoid using land that's expensive and has high opportunity costs. They do this by getting onto other types of land, or taking advantage of byproducts that aren't used in the food chain today, or by intercropping. My mom was on the United Way group that decides how to allocate the money and looks at all the different charities and makes the very hard decisions about where that pool of funds is going to go. I do think this next century, hopefully, will be about a more global view, where you don't just think, yes, my country is doing well, but you think about the world at large. I love building the products, seeing people use the products, but you know, along with success comes the need for a dialogue with the government. Now everyone takes it for granted that you can look up movie reviews, track locations, and order stuff online. I wish there was a way we could take it away from people for a day so they could remember what it was like without it. My guideline has always been to avoid a focus on me personally. Not because of any deep, dark secrets. Rather just a sense of privacy. I think that our progress on key diseases over the next several decades is going to be pretty amazing, and so I am very interested in that. Personally, I'd like to see more of our leaders take a technocratic approach to solving our biggest problems. Helping convene global stakeholders to establish a set of measurable, actionable, and consensus-built goals focused on extreme poverty is invaluable. Driving up the value of e-advertising is a big commitment for Microsoft. The AIDS is a disease that is hard to talk about. AIDS itself is subject to incredible stigma. Microsoft has had clear competitors in the past. It's a good thing we have museums to document that. Why do people benefit in inverse proportion to their need? Well, market incentives make that happen. Harnessing steam power required many innovations, as William Rosen chronicles in the book The Most Powerful Idea in the World. I don't think there is any philosophy that suggests having polio is a good thing. People should just buy a CD and rip it. You are legal then. If I think something's a waste of time or inappropriate, I don't wait to point it out. I say it right away. It's real time. So you might hear me say that's the dumbest idea I have ever heard many times during a meeting. The kids are a big part of my schedule. I mean, if we said right now, there's somebody in the next room who's dying, let's all go save their life, you know, everybody would just get up immediately and go get involved in that. The answer is simple and harsh. The market did not reward saving the lives of these children, and governments did not subsidize it. So the children died because their mothers and their fathers had no power in the market and no voice in the system. I regret being the richest man in the world because that position attracts undeserved publicity. Business isn't that complicated. I wouldn't want to put it on my business card. The impact of improving health is that the population growth goes down, and so you can educate more kids, feed more kids. Who can afford to do professional work for nothing? What hobbyist can put 3 man-years into programming, finding all bugs, documenting his product, and distributing it for free? Until we're educating every kid in a fantastic way, until every inner city is cleaned up, there is no shortage of things to do. The billionaire song is what my kids tease me with. They sing it to me. It's funny. Microsoft's philosophy is to do things better. And Vista has given us lots of opportunity to do that. I didn't complete my university education. I think when smallpox was eliminated, the whole world got pretty excited about that because it's just such a dramatic success. Well-spent aid money is saving lives for a few $1,000s per life saved. Whether you believe in a moral imperative or in the rich world's enlightened self-interest, securing the conditions that will lead to a healthy, prosperous future for everyone is a goal I believe we all share. Internet TV and the move to the digital approach is quite revolutionary. TV historically has been a broadcast medium with everybody picking from a very finite number of channels. Eventually we'll be able to sequence the human genome and replicate how nature did intelligence in a carbon-based system. Today, you always know whether you are on the internet or on your PC's hard drive. Tomorrow, you will not care and may not even know. In inner city, low-income communities of color, there's such a high correlation in terms of educational quality and success. Should surveillance be usable for petty crimes like jaywalking or minor drug possession? Or is there a higher threshold for certain information? Those aren't easy questions. Success is a miserable teacher. It tempts intelligent people to believe they cannot lose. And it is an unreliable guide to the future. The tool that's most associated with the recent progress against malaria is the long-lasting bed net. Bed nets are a fantastic innovation. But we can do even better. We can invent new ways to control the mosquitoes that carry the malaria parasite. Americans want students to get the best education possible. We want schools to prepare children to become good citizens and members of a prosperous American economy. The only thing I understand deeply, because in my teens I was thinking about it, and every year of my life, is software. So I'll never be hands-on on anything except software. If you believe that all men are created equal, then a child's death in some other country is no less tragic than in the United States. I don't think there's anything unique about human intelligence. I am not a huge gamer. My son knows a lot more than I do about what is cool on Xbox. I played Halo, but the sports games that the whole family can use are the things I use the most. I threw the javelin very, very far. Being maniacal about something is very helpful. On my desk I have 3 screens, synchronized to form a single desktop. I can drag items from one screen to the next. Once you have that large display area, you'll never go back, because it has a direct impact on productivity. The term, information at your fingertips, is to remind people what a broad role the personal computer will be playing. It's not a computation device. It's not a word processing or a spreadsheet device. It's a window onto the world of information. Once you embrace unpleasant news, not as a negative but as evidence of a need for change, you aren't defeated by it. You're learning from it. Nuclear energy, in terms of an overall safety record, is better than other energy. Every new change forces all the companies in an industry to adapt their strategies to that change. Airplane travel is nature's way of making you look like your passport photo. What I do best is share my enthusiasm. Don't let complexity stop you. Everything on the internet is real, goddammit. If we have optimism without empathy, then it doesn't matter how much we master the secrets of science. We're not really solving problems, we're just working on puzzles. With a public library card in your hand, you have access to the internet and a world of opportunities. Windows 95 was a nice milestone. Exposure from a young age to the realities of the world is a super big thing. In my 20s, I worked very, very hard. I have a much more balanced life now. Like my friend Warren Buffett, I feel particularly lucky to do something every day that I love to do. He calls it tap dancing to work. I have an excellent memory, a most excellent memory. Whenever there is hard work to be done, I assign it to the laziest man, as he is sure to find an easy way of doing it. Be lazy, think crazy. Television is not real life. In real life, people actually have to leave the coffee shop and go to jobs. This social networking thing takes you to crazy places. Microsoft is always 2 years away from failure. Great organizations demand a high level of commitment by the people involved. Eliminate politics by giving everybody the same message. Keep a flat organization in which all issues are discussed openly. Empower teams to do their own things. I'm cooler than you. Way cooler. Globalization has made copper and other minerals more valuable, and Ghana and Kenya have recently discovered mineral resources. Often you just have to rely on your intuition. Microsoft is not about greed. It's about innovation and fairness. Competition is always a fantastic thing, and the computer industry is intensely competitive. I've been waiting more than 30 years to say this, Dad. I always told you I'd come back and get my degree. I want to thank Harvard for this honor. I'll be changing my job next year, and it will be nice to finally have a college degree on my resume. I read a lot of obscure books, and it is nice to open a book. This is a fantastic time to be entering the business world, because business is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in the last 50. We make the future sustainable when we invest in the poor, not when we insist on their suffering. We flew down weekly to meet with IBM. But they thought the way to measure software was the amount of code we wrote, when really the better the software, the fewer lines of code. My dream is that every child has enough food to eat, good medical care, and the chance to go to school and even attend college. The people who resist change will be confronted by the growing number of people who see that better ways are available, thanks to technology. If empathy channels our optimism, we will see the empathy in the diseases and the poor school. We will answer with our innovations, and we will surprise the pessimists. Connectivity enables transparency for better government, education, and health. Digital technology has several features that can make it much easier for teachers to pay special attention to all their students. In my view, investing in public libraries is an investment in the nation's future. As I look forward, I'm very optimistic about the things I see ahead. The outside perception and inside perception of Microsoft are so different. The view of Microsoft inside Microsoft is always kind of an underdog thing. You've got to give great tools to small teams. Pick good people, use small teams, and give them great tools so that they are very productive in terms of what they are doing. The present and future of knowledge attainment and essential business skills. By 2035, there will be almost no poor countries left in the world. Life is not a continuous process. There's some sort of finite number of achievements that defines your life. Being flooded with information doesn't mean we have the right information or that we're in touch with the right people. I like to read general biology, things about the immune system and advances in that area, because it lays the foundation for my part of the dialogue at the foundation about what things we ought to pursue. If I'd had some set idea of a finish line, don't you think I would have crossed it years ago? I want to admit that I am an optimist. Any tough problem, I think it can be solved. The job was to put into a computer with only 4K of memory an entire basic full-blown, floating point basic, and that's one of the greatest programming feats I've ever had a chance to work on. Our vision, which has not changed since the day the company was founded. Success is a lousy teacher. The greatest thing you can do for your competition, hire poorly. We're all responsible for creating a polio-free world while we still can. The internet? We are not interested in it. Take our 20 best people away, and I will tell you that Microsoft will become an unimportant company. Be nice to nerds, they'll probably be your boss one day. In 3 years, every product my company makes will be obsolete. The only question is whether we will make them obsolete or somebody else will. The key for us, number one, has always been hiring very smart people. It's been proven that of all the interventions to reduce poverty, improving agricultural productivity is the best. Microsoft is a company that manages imagination. The barrier to change is not too little caring, it is too much complexity. A company's ability to respond to an unplanned event, good or bad, is a prime indicator of its ability to compete. Software innovation, like almost every other kind of innovation, requires the ability to collaborate and share ideas with other people, and to sit down and talk with customers and get their feedback and understand their needs. I can understand wanting to have $1 million, but once you get beyond that, I have to tell you, it's the same hamburger. I believe innovation is the most powerful force for change in the world. People who are pessimistic about the future tend to extrapolate from the present in a straight line. but innovation fundamentally shifts the trajectory of development. Robots will play an important role in providing physical assistance and even companionship for the elderly. A fundamental new rule for business is that the internet changes everything. The barrier to change is not too little caring, it is too much complexity. To turn caring into action, we need to see a problem, see a solution, and see the impact. But complexity blocks all three steps. Great organizations demand a high level of commitment by the people involved. Reward-worthy failure, experimentation. The Wright brothers created the single greatest cultural force since the invention of writing. The airplane became the first World Wide Web, bringing people, languages, ideas, and values together. People always fear change. People feared electricity when it was invented, didn't they? I'm an investor in a number of biotech companies, partly because of my incredible enthusiasm for the great innovations they will bring. Certainly there's a phenomenon around open source. You know, free software will be a vibrant area. There will be a lot of neat things that get done there. Look at the clock when you are sitting idle. But never look at the clock when you are working. Even for the very best programmers, sometimes you'll see someone else's program or somebody will come along and they'll show you what can be done in a simpler way. I'm not a macroeconomics person. If you're a person struggling to eat and stay healthy, you might have heard about Michael Jordan or Muhammad Ali, but you'll never have heard of Bill Gates. I can understand wanting to have millions of dollars. There's a certain freedom, meaningful freedom, that comes with that. I don't like typing messages on my phone. Some people get used to it. The leader needs to create an environment in which people can analyze the situation and develop a good response. For a highly motivated learner, it's not like knowledge is secret and somehow the internet made it not secret. It just made knowledge easy to find. If you're a motivated enough learner, books are pretty good. A great lathe operator commands several times the wage of an average lathe operator, but a great writer of software code is worth 10,000 times the price of an average software writer. Hey, size works against excellence. I think the positive competition between states in India is one of the most positive dynamics that the country has. I've said some stupid things and some wrong things, but not that. No one involved in computers would ever say that a certain amount of memory is enough for all time. I feel pretty stupid that I don't know any foreign languages. I wish I knew French or Arabic or Chinese. Paul and we never thought that we would make much money out of the thing. We just loved writing software. There's life and death in every email, the vision is really about empowering workers, giving them all the. When I was growing up, my parents were almost involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that. I'm certainly well taken care of in terms of food and clothes. We are in the throes of a transition where every publication has to think of their digital strategy. It's the poorer people in tropical zones who will get really hit by climate change, as well as some ecosystems, which nobody wants to see disappear. Microsoft has long hired based on IQ and intellectual bandwidth. Let's face it, the average computer user has the brain of a spider monkey. There's no magic line between an application and an operating system that some bureaucrat in Washington should draw. Skype actually does get a fair bit of revenue. The world is progressing and resources are becoming more abundant. I'd rather go into a grocery store today than a king's banquet 100 years ago. Some people, through luck and skill, end up with a lot of assets. If you're good at kicking a ball, writing software, investing in stocks, it pays extremely well. Security guys break the Mac every single day. Every single day, they come out with a total exploit. Your machine can be taken over totally. Really advanced civilization is based on advances in energy. I get more spam than anyone I know. No one person controls Microsoft. The board and the shareholders decide whether they want to have me as CEO. Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important. 2 years from now, spam will be solved. Our success has really been based on partnerships from the very beginning. Certain teams are more careful in what they write. They generate less bugs. You can know that, but it still doesn't mean there might not be one bug that would be bad to ship the product with. It is really gratifying, for example, to visit India now and see that because they've had good educational institutions, and they've had a focus on it, there are more and more people in India participating in the world economy. Creativity allows people to be effective. If I was down to the last dollar of my marketing budget, I'd spend it on PR. Microsoft was founded with a vision of a computer on every desk and in every home. We've never wavered from that vision. The only definition by which America's best days are behind it is on a purely relative basis. How you gather, manage, and use information will determine whether you win or lose. Convert bad news to good news. K-12 is partly about babysitting the kids so the parents can do other things. I am results-oriented. Never before in history has innovation offered promise of so much to so many in so short a time. The world needs banking, but it does not need banks. The internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow. There will be two types of businesses in the next 5 years, those that are on the internet and those that are out of business. Information technology and business are becoming inextricably interwoven. I don't think anybody can talk meaningfully about one without talking about the other. Treatment without prevention is simply unsustainable. The human body is the most complex system ever created. The more we learn about it, the more appreciation we have about what a rich system it is. Customer service will become the primary value-added function of every business. No one will need more than 637 kilobits of memory for a personal computer. Long-term vision and product strategy. Unemployment rates among Americans who never went to college are about double that of those who have a post-secondary education. I'm never fully satisfied with any Microsoft product. My mom and my dad were both very sociable, meeting lots of interesting people. You know, capitalism is this wonderful thing that motivates people. It causes wonderful inventions to be done. But in this area of diseases of the world at large, it's really let us down. Kenya's M-Pesa proves that when people are empowered, they will use digital tech to innovate on their own behalf. Almost every way we make electricity today, except for the emerging renewables and nuclear, puts out CO2. And so, what we're going to have to do at a global scale is create a new system. And so, we need energy miracles. In American math classes, we teach a lot of concepts poorly over many years. In the Asian systems, they teach you very few concepts very well over a few years. The most amazing philanthropists are people who are actually making a significant sacrifice. We are seeing pioneers moving out to the internet, banks that are taking transactions, retail shopping on the internet, and although it's going to take most of a decade before most adults are turning to the internet for a high percentage of their act. Eventually you won't think of the internet business. You'll think of it more like news, weather, sports, but even that taxonomy isn't clear. Polio's pretty special because once you get an eradication, you no longer have to spend money on it. It's just there as a gift for the rest of time. We all have the chance to create a world where extreme poverty is the exception rather than the rule. Sometimes we do get taken by surprise. For example, when the internet came along, we had it as a 5th or 6th priority. If something is expensive to develop and somebody's not going to get paid, it won't get developed. So you decide, do you want software to be written or not? Started from the chair hop, now we hear. Philanthropy should be voluntary. The Green Revolution focused on the big three, maize, rice, and wheat, and the Green Revolution did not adapt the big three to African conditions, other than South Africa, as much as they should have. At Microsoft there are lots of brilliant ideas, but the image is that they all come from the top. I'm afraid that's not quite right. Strategically, a major function of the CEO is to look for bad news and encourage the organization to respond to it. Employees must be encouraged to share bad news as much as good news. Don't wallow in failure. Instead, learn from it. It's pretty incredible to look back 30 years to when Microsoft was starting and realize how work has been transformed. We're finally getting close to what I call the digital work style. Today, we're very dependent on cheap energy. We just take it for granted, all the things you have in the house, the way industry works. Well, no one gives aid to Zimbabwe through the Mugabe government. Energy innovation is not a nationalistic game. The truth of Moore's Law has made remarkable things possible. On the software side, I think natural user interfaces in all their forms are equally significant. Thanks for watching. I hope you feel inspired to chase your dreams. If you liked the video, please subscribe for more. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts and favorite motivational quotes. See you in the next one.